Alright, what's going on, y'all, guys? Welcome to Real Madrid Hub, and I wanted to make a couple longer videos in talking about two different topics, very important topics, by the way, today. The first one is going to be about Erling Haaland and the latest news that we learned like 10 minutes ago, because Erling Haaland finally showed up in the first day of the practice. I mean, it's actually the second day of the practice for Borussia Dortmund. And the other one is about the new Real Madrid style that Carlo Ancelotti is implementing in our team. So let's get into the details with Erling Haaland, because as you know, I mean, this video will be about, of course, the Norwegian player, because as you know, over the last 24 hours, we have heard a bunch of things regarding to the future of the Norwegian player. And of course, I have to talk a little bit longer about that. I mean, what is my opinion about that? What are the chances for him to play in Real Madrid this year, maybe the next year, maybe the offers coming out from Chelsea and Manchester City, who are also interested in signing the players. So let me get into the details, and let's get started saying that last night Sports 1 in Germany claimed that Borussia Dortmund was willing to sell the player right this summer, which means that he will be sold the next summer, the next month of August, maybe July, maybe August, I don't know. So, and the price, the market price was about 175 million euros for whoever wants to sign the Norwegian player, right? So that was the last news I delivered last night. So right this morning, the first news I read regarding to Erling Haaland came out from Sky Sports Italy, claiming that Erling Haaland and Real Madrid had an agreement, a kind of pre-agreement actually, for the Norwegian player to play in Real Madrid the next year. So it is for 2022, not for this summer. So here's the deal. From my understanding, until I don't hear anything from Fabrizio Romano or a Spanish newspaper or journalist like Josep Pedrerol or even Jose Felix Diaz from Diario AS or some of those, I refuse to believe 100% the news coming out from any other newspaper, media, journalist, or whatever it is. So that said, it doesn't mean Real Madrid hasn't had an agreement or hasn't reached an agreement with Borussia Dortmund, which is pretty obvious that is going to happen. Maybe not this summer, but in the near future. I mean, next year, right? So it's not a secret for everybody out there that Real Madrid is very interested in signing both Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland. But from my understanding, my take is that Erling Haaland will be signed the next year if we are able to sign this year to Kylian Mbappe. That said, my opinion is the other way. I mean, what I would like to see is to Erling Haaland arriving to Real Madrid right this year and Kylian Mbappe the next year. Because financial wise, if you think about it, it's a much more better option to have Erling Haaland this year and say that you have to pay about 150 million euros, which is a very reasonable price for the Norwegian player. But then next year you can have to Kylian Mbappe for free, right? So you can have, I mean, at the end of the road, you will have to both players, to two of the best players in the world for the half of the price. Because if finally Kylian Mbappe arrives for free, you will only have to pay about 175, 150, 200 for both players. I mean, it's actually only for Erling Haaland for whom you will have to pay something, but not for both. You know what I'm saying? But the problem here is that all the odds, all the circumstances are against us. And let me explain you why. First thing, financial wise, it's not the best year for us to overexpend money in either transfer fees and salaries, right? I mean, if these guys want a wage of about, say, 50 million each, or 50 and 10 each. That would be about 50 million euros just in both players, just in two players. That is the total cost for Real Madrid for have them in the squad at the same time. I mean, combine salaries and also transfer fees. You know what I'm saying? Because every time a player has has a wage of about, say, 50 million, Real Madrid has to pay about 30 million for the player, for social security purposes and taxes and all this stuff, right? So from that perspective, that would be about 50 million for both. So that's number one. Number two, both clubs, both teams that have the rights of both players that don't want to sell this year. I mean, from my perspective, what I'm listening about these players and these teams is that either PSG and Borussia Dortmund don't want to sell them, right? At least this summer. They will try whatever they got to retain their players in the squad. So we can assume that these teams will be wide open to negotiate for the players, right? That is number two. And of course, number three, the first thing we have to do before we go ahead and try to sign either of those is to sell players from our own squad. So we have to get rid of a bunch of players before to do anything regarding to Mbappe or Erling Haaland. So there are a bunch of circumstances, there are a bunch of things that are plotting against us when it comes to the signing of both, right? So that's why, for these three reasons, I truly believe that something can happen with Erling Haaland, but not this year. That's why I'm very hesitant and skeptical regarding to this information that came out from Sky Sports. So although I think Erling Haaland is looking forward to playing Real Madrid, and I also believe that Real Madrid is way ahead of any other single team in this whole planet, including Chelsea, and of course Manchester City or any other, I still believe that we will have to wait a little bit longer to know what is going to happen to Erling Haaland in Real Madrid. Because the top priority for Real Madrid right now is Kylian Mbappe. Plain and simple. You cannot say now to a player like Kylian Mbappe, who already has spoken to PSG board members to communicate his decision to not renew his contract, you can't say now to Kylian Mbappe that you won't go ahead and sign him right this summer, because that would be a kind of betrayal. You know me? You know what I'm saying? Mbappe would feel kind of betrayed by Real Madrid. So that is not the deal. Real Madrid, Kylian Mbappe has done what he was supposed to do, right? It was pretty much not to offend PSG, not to hint in any single interview that he will play for Real Madrid or he will join to Real Madrid or he wants to, sign for Real Madrid. And he did it. He complied with all the requirements that Real Madrid has put on the table to go ahead and sign him. So now is Real Madrid the side that has to comply with all these things, all these requirements to sign Kylian Mbappe, right? So that's why the top priority, 99% sure about that, is Kylian Mbappe and not Erling Haaland. That is the thing. So that's why I'm very hesitant and skeptical towards this information regarding to Erling Haaland. Don't get me wrong, I would be okay with that. I'm so happy and excited thinking that Erling Haaland will play for Real Madrid the next season. That would be great. If you imagine to Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland play both of them at the same time in the squad, it's nuts. It's just amazing, right? But I can't tell you, I can show it up here and tell you all that both of them are signed and prepared for playing in Real Madrid the next summer, because I will be lying. Because I don't really know. And I prefer to be honest at this point and say, hey, Mbappe is maybe the biggest chance for us right? But when it comes to Erling Haaland, man, I prefer to wait a little bit more, stand by, hold on, and see what will happen with the Norwegian player, because I'm still not sure about that. And there's nothing really reliable out there, so we can assume that the Norwegian player will play for Real Madrid. You know what I'm saying? So that was my point. That was the point of the whole video, to let you know that although I'm very excited to see Erling Haaland as well in Real Madrid, I prefer to be cautious regarding to this information. So now let me know your thoughts about that. Just comment in the section below. And of course, subscribe to my channel, Real Madrid Hub.